Yeah, this is test 65, section 4, question 18.
Okay.
It says hospitals, universities, labor unions, and other institutions, okay, that's a lot of stuff, may well have public purposes and be quite successful at achieving them, even though each of their individual staff members does what he or she does only for selfish reasons.
Wow.
That's one
One
sentence.
sentence. Yeah.
And that's it. Okay, so that's a claim. There's no argument here. It's just saying that the organization as a whole might have some goal and succeed at achieving that goal, even though the individual staff members are just doing whatever they're doing to help themselves, which may or may not align with that goal. Doesn't say. Which one of the following generalizations is most clearly illustrated by the passage? This is just asking what is supported by the passage, what is most likely to be true or must be true given what was said.
Top down, evidence based. I can make a kind of a prediction, though. It's almost like what they paraphrase what this fact does, right?
Yeah.
Think about it. Did you really comprehend what that said?
Yep.
And so I look at that and I go, well, yeah, I mean, think about all of the individual members of the world economy, for example, like just um, you, me, every person in the world. Mostly we're just doing shit for ourselves, right? We're trying to make some money. We're trying to buy some shit for ourselves. We each are really just pursuing our own interests. But the combined effect of everybody pursuing their own interests has all kinds of crazy effects, right? Like the invention of the iPhone
Yep.
basically happened because of people going grocery shopping, or people just doing their normal everyday life. And it collaboratively creates, global warming. So good shit and bad shit happens.
Mhm.
As a result of everybody just pursuing their individual goals, it can have this like broader effect.
Wait, are you saying that global warming is bad?
Um, I have to. I don't want to speak too soon.
I'm just messing with it. Yeah.
Um, okay, so I think I understand the. Yeah, I get it. Everybody at that hospital is just trying to do their own thing,
Yeah.
but nonetheless, the hospital ends up fulfilling this public purpose quite successfully.
Yep. Helping people
Okay.
get better, whatever. Right. Okay, so answer choice A, what is true of some social organizations is not necessarily true of all such organizations. Okay, this is talking about organization to organization as opposed to an organization and the people or parts within it. So I'm done with this.
Well, we have a fact about some institution, and by the way, institution and organization, same difference. So I'm
Sure.
definitely not like caught up on that word. I think a lot of people would be worried
Yeah.
about that word. Synonyms are a thing. Institutions and organizations are the same thing.
Yep.
I do have a fact about some organizations, which is that some organizations can have public purposes and be successful at achieving them, even though their individual staff members are only acting out of self-interest. But as far as I know, that could be true of all organizations, which
Yeah,
means
we
I
have
don't
no
have
idea.
any evidence that what is true of some organizations is not true of other organizations. I have a fact about some organizations. In order to pick A, I'd need another fact that says, yeah, this is not true of other organizations. I just can't prove A, so I'm not picking it.
Excellent. B, an organization can have a property that not all of its members possess. Yeah, they could have a goal and be successful at that goal, even though none of, or not all, some of the members of that organization don't have that goal and are not successful
Yeah.
at it.
Hospitals, universities, labor unions, and other institutions can have public purposes, even though their members do not.
Yep.
The record proves B. It can't be false, according to this
B,
fact.
by the way, B is kind of vague. An organization can have a property, and we don't know what property B is referring to, but it doesn't really matter. I think sometimes people get hung up on that as well. Yes,
It doesn't say
having a
property.
purpose is a property.
A property just means a thing, like
A characteristic.
characteristic. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, an organization can have the property of having a public purpose.
Yep.
And the members do not have that same property because they are just entirely selfish. So an organization can have a property that not all of its members possess, and the record proves it, and that's the answer.
And notice too, it's weakly stated, not all of its members possess. That just means some of them don't. That's it.
Also the can, right?
Yeah.
To prove can, we just need one or more organization.
Mm-hmm.
So it could have been just hospitals or just one university or one labor union.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. But yeah, we've got those. We've got multiples of those. So it's easy to prove can. No, the can does not just like automatically make B right.
But it doesn't hurt.
Makes it easier to prove. And I can prove it. I can tell you exactly why the record shows that an organization can have a property that not all of its members possess. It's in the record. It's proven.
Yeah. Now, the next answer, C, says people often claim, and already my like BS radar is blaring. Not that I'm going to hang my hat on the word often, but this idea of like it being so frequent is weird because the passage never said anything along the lines of how frequent this may occur.
No, it said it may, may. So it could be just one hospital one time, one university one time, one labor union one time, and one other organization one time. May have a public purpose. So yeah, I think you're right to be skeptical of people often. Whoa, wait, what? People, we know this happens sometimes, but I don't know that it happens often.
Yeah.
All right, keep going.
Often claim altruistic motives. There's no discussion of what they were claiming. So I'm done. I've already 2 strikes. I'm out.
Yeah, it didn't say anything about people, describing their own motives was not justified by the passage at all.
Yep. D, many social institutions have social consequences unintended by those who founded them. Again, I don't like the many, but that's not such a big deal. I'm going to keep going. And it's like unintended by those who founded them. We never talked about the founders. We never talked about what they intended. So
I do think you could make D correct if you changed one word.
By those who work for them.
Yep. I think if you change founded to work for them, we know that these individuals do not intend to have these public purposes, and individuals that work there are there only for selfish reasons. So the social institutions do have social consequences that are unintended by those who work for them. But founders, where'd that come from?
It's interesting though. Unintended by those who work for them. Even then, I'm still a little bit struggling because even if they're doing something for their own selfish reasons, do they not intend?
I think I'd be willing to make that case. Yeah. It says the institutions have public purposes, but the individuals are there for selfish reasons, which that's their intent. They're there to serve themselves. The institutions, though, can have public purposes that the individuals don't have. That's why B's the answer. So I think with that tweak, I think we can make D correct. But anyway, the founders makes that conclusively wrong.
E, often an instrument created for one purpose will be found to serve another purpose just as effectively. I have no idea how different purposes play a role in these institutions or in the people who work for them. So that phrase, just as effectively, is enough for me to say, see you later. Not going to worry about this.
Yeah, we know that a hospital can have a public purpose. Maybe it was created for that purpose. We don't have evidence that it was not created for that purpose. We just know that it has a public purpose. So how can we justify an institution or a thing, an instrument, a thing? How can we justify that serving two different purposes? It's just not in the facts at all.
Yep. And then to pile on and say that that other purpose is served just as effectively, to me, that's a very it's a logical phrase, right? And it's like, what? I have no idea how effectively these purposes are being served, let alone whether there are two and yada, yada. So
Yep.
B.
It's an evidence-based question. It's a top-down supported or must be true type of a question. You have to pick the one that's boring and obvious and conservatively stated, the one that you're on the firmest footing if you have to vouch for it. You're standing up in court, or you're writing a brief to the court like, yes, Your Honor, the record shows this. And you've got to have the facts, you got to have the evidence to back up that assertion. And A, C, D, E are all just speculative, and that leaves us with B, which we can pretty clearly explain to the judge why it's proven by the record. These questions are easier than people think but it is like a shift in mindset a lot of times to get people into that must be true mode, evidence-based, not just bullshitting, making things up mode, but like the record actually shows this.
Yeah.
That's an important skill for LSAT reading comprehension, for all of the top-down types of logical reasoning questions on the LSAT. And I do think it's probably a pretty important skill for, logic games, by the way. I mean, the evidence, the record justifies whatever answer you're going to pick. It's like you can prove the answer that you're going to pick. It's not just guessing or, this might work. It's like actually getting there, actually solving it. It's proven. It's half the questions on the LSAT, huh? Are in
more.
that, maybe, more. Because all of the logic games.
All logic games, almost all reading
Almost
comp.
all the reading comp, yeah.